I'm pretty sure they're looking to sell. They've lived there, roughly 30 years or 20 years rather. I don't know much about the property. Like, there's not a lot of photos online because I think they had it built when they were there. So I've had to ask a few questions, bathrooms, things like that. I had a look on the aerial map to check about, the layout of the land, where the house sits, how much yard space there is, things like that. But I've got to go in there thinking, okay, what are their thoughts? What are their thoughts on the sales process? Are they auction inclined? Do they like a price? Do they like no price? What are their thoughts going forward? Have they seen any other agents marketing? Have they seen any other agents' sales tactics that they've liked or not liked? So I'd like to go down and ask a few questions there. Sometimes their price may be a little bit high. They may think it's worth $2 million when it's only worth one. I've got to make the choice. Generally I'm pretty honest on price. I like to tell them roughly where I think the buyers are going to be coming from, roughly where I think it's worth. And if they're too high, I'd prefer to just let them know that, look, you're probably a bit high and I don't think you're going to sell for that. If that's where you want to sell, look, that's fine, but you might be waiting a little bit longer. If it's, within the realms of possibility, I sit there going, look, at the end of the day, there is no recommended retail price in real estate. So there is an ability to get more or less than what I or the seller thinks. So let's not always rule it out. But at the same time, I like to make sure that I go in, give them a price first before they actually tell me what they want. That way they know I'm being honest from the start rather than me trying to find out the price that they're looking to sell for. I've had this conversation with quite a few people, sellers in the past. I say, look, ultimately I have an idea what I think it's worth. I compare it to other properties as a buyer. But at the same time, there's always another buyer that may be willing to pay more. It's just whether that person's out there at the time. So at the end of the day, I've got to have a chat about price. I've got to go through the marketing and the way I like to market a property for sale. So all the different avenues I like to use, Facebook, social media, Instagram, all those, as well as the big portals like your realestate.coms, your domains. Now, a lot of people don't believe in domain, but I still believe domain's got a lot of avenue there. There's a few others like Homely, Realty, Property, all those as well. So we go through that. Then we have a look at how we're going to price or no price the property, what sort of range we're going to put on it, whether we're going to put a price on it from the start or whether they're going to auction it. I mean, auctions, okay, clearance rates are a bit lower at the moment. But at the same time, there is method to the madness with unique properties. And this one's quite unique to the area. I'll probably have to look at properties outside the area to try and come up with a bit of a price guide. I've got a bit of a, appraisal already filled out and everything like that. But at the same time, we've got to look for variations. Once we actually get in the property and see the quality of the kitchen, quality of the bathrooms, does it need a full renovation? Does it need a new paint job? Is it up to today's, taste, or is someone going to want to come in and rip everything out? So there's a lot of factors that come into it. But at the end of the day, I like to try and put myself in the shoes of a buyer rather than of a seller. And say, look, if I was a buyer, I'd be looking at your property, that property, that property, that property, and I'd be making a choice based on those facts. If I was to fall in love with the property, yes, I'd pay a little bit more as a buyer, but at the same time, a lot of buyers are looking for value. They're looking for, 4 beds, 2 baths, 2 cars. That's their main feature. Suburb, they're looking suburb specific, but at the same time, they're going to be looking in 2 or 3 suburbs at the one time. So there is a bit of flexibility in where they end up buying. Often we'll have people looking in Geebung who end up buying in Aspley, or looking in Wavell who end up buying in Aspley or Boondall. So there's a lot of flexibility on location. It's more, what are buyers looking for at this current time, and what can we do to make sure your home attracts those buyers? So we'll go through that. We'll sit down and see what queries they've got. I like to ask questions. I like them to ask me questions as well. Find out a little bit about me and find out a little bit about them, where they're off to, what's their reason for selling, things like that. It doesn't always, a lot of buyers will say, oh, why are they selling? And at the end of the day, people are selling because they want to sell. It could be they're downsizing, upsizing, divorce, whatever. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, they're on the market, they're wanting to sell. We do get a lot of people just wanting to test the market where, at the end of the day, you've got to be a little bit honest with them, because I don't want people making decisions going forward in life that are based on a price I've told them. I like to make sure that I've given them the right advice to move forward in the future. So look, I'll go to this appraisal now. I'll probably do another one of these once I get out, just so people can see what my feedback is after the appraisal. And we'll have a bit of a think about, what their thoughts are and what some of the questions they asked were. Also, I might give you a bit of an idea as to, the price ranges that we were talking and they were talking and things like that. So stay tuned to after the appraisal. It could go for 30 minutes. It could go for 2 hours. I'm not sure. And that's why with real estate, you've got to have a little bit of flexibility in your timing. All right. I'll see you in probably an hour or so.